You know, I've never been like a red guitar guy for the only reason that I don't think I look good holding them, as vain as that sounds. But dude, this color is great. Hello everybody, my name is Austin Randolph. The quick stuff to get out of the way. If you like what I do, if you enjoy the sound of my voice, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be swell and amazing. You get notified like once a week when I post a video, and you get to find the next thing that you're going to spend the week reading reviews and watching videos about, and then spending all your money on it. And for the time being, TikTok is not going away, I guess, I think that's what's going on. If you're on TikTok, if you could follow me over there, a lot more casual, but I like to spend time on there, put up funny stuff, you know, it's more fun over kind of casual. But what are we talking about today? I found a deal I couldn't say no to, so I picked up one of these guys. I'd been shopping for a Tele for a while. When I was like in a punk band, it was like a ska punk band in college, I played a Telecaster the whole time, and I kind of missed it. And so I've been kind of just waiting for the right time, the right opportunity to get my hands on another Telecaster that I liked. I'm picky when it comes to Teles for some reason. And the new Vintera 2 line from Fender, well, newish. Kind of grabbed my interest. So the way it boils down basically, so this is a 60s style Telecaster. They have a 50 style and a 60s style, and I think a 70s one as well. But I was looking at this or the 50s. The big difference is in the neck profile, and the pickups are different, but the neck profile on the 50s is very much that like traditional early 50s Fender U shape. It's for some people. I like a chunkier neck personally, but the U-shape just, it's too much of a barrier for even like the little blues-licky stuff that I just kind of throw into everything. So I decided to go with the 60s one. And I think we're going to talk about the guitar, and we're going to kind of do like a review and go over features and specs and stuff like that. But more than anything, I really think that what the message I want to convey with this is that everybody covets something, right? If you're watching this video, there's some model of guitar that you covet. Whether it's a 62 Strat, a 59 Les Paul, a 55 ES335, you know, everybody has something. I don't think people actually want to own vintage guitars. I think people want to own something like this, where this is one of the better recreations that's not a custom shop. So one of the better not custom shop recreations are like reissues, and we'll go over why. So we usually start at the top. So at the top we have our Tele headstock, we have our vintage style tuners. It is made in Mexico. These are the tuners that everybody likes, where there's the hole in the middle. So when you're stringing it, you pull your string up, you go 2 more tuners, you cut it, stick it in the hole, wind it around. I love the vintage style tuners. You get a rosewood board. It's a pretty piece of rosewood too. I'm really glad Fender's gone back to rosewood and is kind of reserving the Pau Ferro fretboards for the way budget models. I don't know. I like rosewood. It never bothered me, but I prefer this. Frets. You get your standard not crazy skinny, not crazy jumbo. You get some nice medium frets on here. The neck. So this kind of threw me off a little bit, to be honest with you. I saw a couple YouTube videos of people reviewing this guitar, and they called the neck a D-shaped neck. I don't even know who I was watching. It's definitely not that. And when I went onto Sweetwater's website, it's like a early 60s, definitely Fender vintage C shape, which is way more what this is, because I picked it up and I was like, oh, it doesn't feel at all how I was expecting. It feels It feels really nice. It feels like a nice full C, and at the bottom, it widens out really well. It does have a 7¼ inch fretboard radius, so bear that in mind, right? When the one thing I think that this guitar does more than the player line, more than the old Vintera line, is its kind of strict, what's the word I'm thinking of? Adherence. That's the word I was thinking of. It's kind of strict adherence to vintage Fender specs. So you get a 7¼ inch fretboard radius as opposed to the Player series, I think has a 9.5. Most Gibsons you're gonna find are like 12 inches. So it's a rounded fretboard, if that makes sense. That's how all the Fenders were when they started making them. And now all the standards are 9.5. It's a little bit flatter. People say it's easier to bend on. You don't have to really alter what you're playing as much as you go up and down the neck. That's one of those things that this is adhering to the old school specs. So 7¼ inch radius. You get, I wouldn't call it a chunky neck. I'd call it I'd say it's a tiny bit shallower and a little bit wider than like the modern C that Fender's making nowadays. But it fills out your hand really well. Definitely not a D-shaped neck. I was kind of worried about that. I don't typically like D-shaped necks. Moving down, you have a parchment colored pickguard, which I think it works so well with the Fiesta Red finish. One weird touch, the finish is not polyurethane, it's polyester. Similar, a little different in how it feels, how it looks. It does really make the kind of pastel-y nature of the Fiesta Red color, and this comes in Sonic Blue, I think. Really makes it pop. Very 60s, very cool, very like rockabilly, mod, whatever words you want to use to describe like an early 60s cool look. This has that. I think this finish looks great. I don't really have any particular thoughts on polyester versus polyurethane. If you do, let me know if there's some intricate specific details I'm missing, but similar, little different, looks great. The pickups, you are getting your reissue style, true to early 60s Tele pickups. How do they sound? The neck, very balanced, very mellow. I think that my personal favorites, it's a Telecaster, so the bridge position is searing, and that's why half the people that buy these guitars buy them. Ooh, it's searing hot. The top end is super cutting. Middle position, super pleasant in this guitar. Really dials into the nasally kind of cleans that Motown guys used this guitar for rhythm on a ton of things, for that kind of nasally bop, 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 percussive nature that you can get out of a Telecaster when you're playing in the background. But it seems like a really good, well-balanced set of pickups. It's a Telecaster, so you get three-way selector switch, you get volume, you get tone. Wowee, there you go for controls. And as far as the weight goes, I don't know, I know it's an alder body, but it's super lightweight. I don't know if this is just a me thing, but weirdly enough, feels super balanced with the neck being on the chunkier side. Feels like a really well-balanced, well-made guitar. So we're going to listen to some cleans. We're going to listen to some dirties. In the cleans, I try to go through, show a little bit of each pickup position, and then I kind of want the message that I bring home today to be like, well, this kind of really does make me think like, back to what you covet kind of a thing. So we'll talk about that in a sec. forgot to mention, what you just heard is coming from, oh god, where? PV Classic 20 mini head, attenuated at 5 watts. I always leave it in 5 watts. Marshall 4x12, mic is a Shure SM57. Got that out of the way. So, what... I don't think if you want an all-around everything guitar that you can play everything in a studio aspect and it's going to be flawless, butter, whatever, I don't think this is that. But I don't really think this is what that's for. What this is for is somebody who wants an old early 60s Fender, but you maybe, let's say, don't have 30 grand to throw at a guitar, right? So everybody wants an old model of Fender, even if it's missing the features of some of the modern stuff. Like, you don't have a truss rod adjustment up here. You gotta like pop the neck off and boop, boop, boop. You get your saddle style bridge. You don't have the individual ones. You don't get any kind of fancy pickup configuration stuff. This is just a Telecaster, but it's just a Telecaster from the era where everybody fell in love with the Telecaster, right? 50s and 60s. This is just the slightly more modern version of the 50 spec. I'm pretty sure the price on these, and by the way, I'm going to have a Sweetwater link in the video description. I'm pretty sure the price is $1,200, right? So I don't really think, I think people have kind of gotten used to Fenders out of the Mexico factory going for over $1,000, especially since Fender announced the new Standard series out of Indonesia. So I don't know if that's the hugest deal. When I bought my Mike McCready Strat, everybody was freaking out because that was $1,600, and those were so good and well received. The Vintera line, I think, has been super well received. I really think the Vintera 2 is going to be received similarly. But I will just say, my own personal whatever, this neck is really nice. The fretboard is nice and rolled. It really does fill out your hand. It feels, it is just, this is such a well-balanced guitar with enough of that old school swagger to where you'll look at it and you're like, oh, it looks good. It feels cool to hold, looks cool to play. I think this guitar is such a good, it strikes such a good balance between old school swagger and functionality, right? Back to the, you want a vintage guitar, but do you really want a vintage guitar? Just like, do you want a Mustang? Do you want a 1968 Mustang? Or do you want a Mustang that works every time you turn the key? This is the Mustang, styled like the old Mustang, odes to it, but it works every time you turn the key. So I think that's all I got for the day, guys. I think this is a really, really, really good, for $1,200, as crazy it is to say, I think this is a great value for money. I think this is a great Tele. I think it's a great Fender guitar. It's a great capture of Fender's heyday, which is, never really went away. But this is a win for me. I think if you guys have been curious about the Vintera line, the Vintera 2 line, I really think it's worth going to grab one. If there are any things I didn't cover, which that's a distinct possibility, feel free to drop them in the comments. Do you have one of the Vintera 2s? What do you think? Were you as pleasantly surprised as me with how adherent to early 60s specs they were? In the, even little things like the pickups are low output or the neck shape or little things like that. I'm surprised they made it. I'm surprised this is as legit as, normally it's a 60s inspired. That usually doesn't mean much. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to have, like I said, a Sweetwater link for you to purchase if you'd like. And, the same old message. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch up with you guys next week. Bye, everybody.